when you're appearing perfect, you put a not only do you put a target on your back, but you put a jetpack on and you start to fly up, and that jetpack is eventually gonna run out of gas, and
Yeah,
this is a free fall from there. And
yeah,
why you and think of picture this, while you got that jetpack on your back and you flying up, people shooting arrows at you, trying to
yeah.
knock you down, but the gas is gonna run out.
It's
And
gonna run out eventually. Like you can't appear perfect forever, man. You just can't, bro.
right.
It's just impossible.
Yo. Welcome back to another episode of the one and only Infinite Charge podcast, where we believe that all it takes is one shock to charge the whole world. I am your host, Malachi White, and I'm accompanied by
Mr. Tyre Jones, who is also your host.
yes, sir. And today we have a very different episode. This is going to be we're pulling a law from this book right here.
Yeah.
I'm sure many people haven't heard of it. Ty, you were the first person I ever seen to have this book, and I actually discovered this book from somebody on YouTube. But
Yeah, it's a well-known book, actually, though. So
it is. Let's say the name though, real quick. The name of this book is The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I don't know what you were about to say. What was you gonna say? My bad.
I was just saying how it's a great book, like all around. Like you use it for offense and defense. You know, it has some evil tactics in there, but really, I won't even say evil. Like it's just there. Like it's just tactics you could use when trying to gain power or maintain power.
Right. And like he said, this book is controversial. I remember when I was really deciding if I wanted to spend my money on it or not, I was reading the reviews, and some people are like, it's like this book is so polarizing. Either it's a 5-star review or a 1-star review. All of the 1-star reviews were like, this book is evil. It puts a negative twist on society, and trying to it's for the people who put it as 1-star are people who believe that this book is meant solely for manipulation purposes. But then the people who put it 5 stars are like, this book is so important because, and this is, me and Ty can echo this, whether you are reading this book to attain power for yourself, no matter what your intentions are when it comes to the reading of this book, this stuff is happening all around us. There are people employing these tactics on us, big business, the government in some cases. I mean, the laws, all 48 of these laws in this book, I can guarantee have somebody, whether it's you, me, whoever's listening or watching this, has fell victim to one of these tactics, or might even be using one of these tactics and may not even know about it. So I think it's not evil. It's definitely something that I think should be a part of anybody's personal core curriculum as far as learning about human relations and things like that, and how we can just be better overall. It's all about intentions when doing anything. The Bible could be bad if you're reading the Bible with bad intentions. So,
I agree,
that's our take on it.
You hit that right on the nose. I agree. Yeah.
For sure, brother. So what is the 46th law, to be exact?
It's never appeared to be too perfect, or what is it?
That's exactly what it is. It's in quotation marks, never appear too perfect. So before we jump into this, let's take our 30-second break for meditation, mindfulness, whatever you choose to do, whether you want to visualize, self-reflect on your day, or just meditate, clear your mind for 30 seconds. Let's get into it now. Dear God, we're so very thankful and grateful to be back for another episode of Infinite Charge. Dear God, I'm so thankful that you've kept us over the weeks. I'm thankful for the end listener, regardless of who he or she is. Dear God, I just want to pray that they could get something out of this law. Heavenly Father, as you created us not to be perfect, dear God, but to strive to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And that's the beauty of it, dear God. It's our imperfections that you love about us, and that we should love about ourselves enough to share with the world, Heavenly Father. So I just want to pray that we can be transparent in delivering this message, and that these points will go across well and ultimately transform into actionable steps for whoever it is that chooses to watch, listen, or tap in with us here at Infinite Charge. In your most precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So jumping right into it, I'm going to put this up on a screen if you're watching on YouTube, but we're going to get into an excerpt about the 46th law from the book right here, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And I'm just going to get right into the reading. So it says, appearing better than others is always dangerous, but most dangerous of all is to appear to have no faults or weaknesses. Envy creates silent enemies. It is smart to occasionally display defects and admit to harmless vices in order to deflect envy and appear more human and approachable. Only gods and the dead can seem perfect with impunity. So this is Robert Greene talking about the explaining in depth to a certain degree about this law, never appear too perfect. So yeah, this is the excerpt to be exact. Now the first line says, appearing better than others is always dangerous, but most dangerous of all is to appear to have no faults or weaknesses. Why would that be dangerous, you may be asking? What is there to be afraid of when it comes to perfection? Well, it's like I would put it to like this, like how we said before, we weren't designed to be perfect. We were designed to make mistakes. We came into this world like naturally as sinners who are supposed to make mistakes. So what makes somebody who projects themselves as somebody outside of that person is projecting themselves as something that isn't human per se. And that's dangerous, because a general rule of thumb when thinking about people in general and how we react to one another is, as humans, we tend to fear what we don't understand. And that fear can eventually turn into hate, which means that, if you don't understand somebody and they are projecting an image that you just can't comprehend because you're human, you make mistakes. You don't understand why it is that this person is projecting themselves this way, and burying and I know, because I've done this, and I've had experiences before where I couldn't understand why I would get side eyes and why I would be looked at a certain way, but it's because of my insecurity is making me want to appear perfect. And that's what we're talking about today. So the danger of appearing perfect is that you kind of put a target on your back to a certain degree. Yeah. So that's the first line. And then the next one says, the next line is just a short sentence that says, envy creates silent enemies. Like, that's pretty much what I was saying. Those passive aggressive looks, and people you could just feel that energy. Like, it does, like when you're giving off perfect energy to people, it never returns perfect. It always returns like almost as like they're not going to return the energy that you're giving off. People are viewing that energy that you're giving off and feeling that as a threat, because they have accepted their imperfections. So why can't you accept yours? So yeah, that's an envy creates silent enemies. Next line is, it is smart to occasionally display defects and admit to harmless vices in order to deflect envy and appear more human and approachable.
Yeah.
Now this is that's like a strategic, like the way he words it is very strategic, which is how sometimes people can feel like these are manipulation tactics, when really it's not. Like just taking this for what it is and for what it says is, it's smart to occasionally display defects, but really it's like not necessarily like, oh, okay, I've been real good, let me show them something bad. It's just like that shouldn't be the thought process per se. I think the thought process should be, all right, I'm human, this is who I am, And I'm just gonna be me, because by truly being yourself, you display those imperfections and you embrace those, and you give other people the opportunity to embrace those imperfections. But by trying to be perfect, there's no way that somebody can uh project themselves outwardly as a perfectionist and have other people embrace them completely, because they can't embrace them completely, because in order to embrace somebody, you need to be able to have something to embrace, like imperfections and things like that. Now the last line is, only gods and the dead can seem perfect with impunity. That's true. Ty, me and you was just talking about Nipsey Hussle. That man became he became perfect. And I love Nip, I'm not gonna lie, but he became perfect. Unfortunately, when he met his time, it seemed like, because it seemed like everybody was a Nipsey fan after that, man. I'm not even trying to sound funny about Nip, like real talk. Like I really respect him, but it's just he's human like us, you know. That man wasn't perfect, and I actually idolize him a lot. I still do like respect him, but sometimes we could be blinded by stuff like that. But why do you feel like, Ty, I got a question for you though. Why do you feel like gods and the dead can seem perfect? Like, why is that the case?
I think it's because we like they're gone, like they're not here anymore. So we like to naturally we like to remember memories. We
Right.
only remember the good things, you know.
Right.
So I feel like that's why is such a positive outlook on death in terms of memories and stuff like that. But you know, every God has his time for everybody. So it's like it was his time. And we shouldn't look at death like a bad thing either, though. So I feel like it's fine how it is, how we look at death, you know. For example, my grandfather, I mean, he wasn't the most perfect person. No one's perfect, and he made a lot of mistakes. But it was like I remember him for his effort to try to be the best he could be, you know.
Right.
Even though he probably didn't live up to that in flesh or on this earthly realm, we remember him as trying to do that, you know.
Right. And that's real, bro. It don't get no more real than that, to be honest. So I could see that, which leads to like another point is like, we talk about how only the dead and gods can seem to be perfect. Well, in Christianity in particular, we know that Jesus he came to earth, he was 100% man and 100% human, which is very confusing. That's what the word says. Let's rationalize it and make it understandable for everybody. So let's say 50% human, 50% perfect, I would say. Now that means that 50% of him was imperfect, but because Jesus was God in the flesh, then he, no matter what he did to other people, he just always seemed perfect. And he, because of that, because of how he was projected, because of who he was and who he was prophesied to be, you know, people saw him as being that person that was so perfect that they couldn't understand and possibly fathom uh him and who he was as an entity. So they kind of like, they ended up killing him, like putting him on a cross, crucifying him, the most perfect human being to ever exist on this plane.
Yeah.
And that's very eye-opening. Like, you know, if they could do that to somebody like Jesus, is like, okay. And Jesus wasn't trying to be perfect, like that's just who he was. But we have no business even trying to be perfect, to be honest, because we weren't designed to be that way. We were designed to make mistakes, which leads to the next point is like, we read this in the excerpt, but pretty much like appearing perfect puts a target on your back.
A huge target.
Right. And it could be avoided. Like I think when people choose to project themselves outwardly as perfectionists, and everything got to be a set way and this and that, I feel like that person is psychologically putting on that jacket with a target on their back.
And
They're doing that to themselves.
and it just causes so much more difficulty, you
Right.
know. That's a lot of people just brag about their accomplishments and don't talk enough about their failures. So
Right.
outside looking in, people think like, all right, naturally they're just gonna envy, bro. Like, um, it's just natural because when you try to be perfect or you try to seem perfect, people want to really discover you and like really investigate that. Like, are you really the truth? And if they actually find out that, or they think that you're perfect, they're gonna envy you because of that. Because like they're gonna think like he's human just like me. Why can't I be perfect? You
Right.
know, but really no one's perfect. I
No one
mean,
is.
there's a difference between becoming a master in your craft and being perfect. I mean, all masters been through tons and millions of failures. So I feel like that's different. But a lot of people associate mastery with perfection.
Right.
That's where the disconnect comes.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And I feel like there's a true difference between mastery and perfection. Like you said, most masters within their respective fields, they failed a lot.
A lot.
And they
A lot.
embraced that failure. But in order to be a perfectionist, you're somebody who's trying to do everything but fail, which means like you're kind of stalling your growth because in order to grow, in order to transform, you kind of have to fail in
You
order
have
to,
to. And
yeah,
some people want to be so perfect that they don't even take action
right.
on what they want to do because they want things to be perfect. They want things to be aligned. It has to be this way. It has to be that way. Well, let me tell you that will never happen. Things will never be 100% the way you want it to be, man. It's just life.
Yeah. No, that's so true, man. I think it's that's a fact. Sometimes in our pursuits of just being perfect, we create these visions, these, instead of like, and this is the point, this is the part where when people say, you can dream, but once that alarm clock sounds, you got to get up and get to work. Because if you stay in that state of dreaming and visualizing, and then all that's doing is creating an perfection within your mind
Yeah.
about something that hasn't even taken place yet, when really it's like we need to like masters move on sparks of inspiration, but
Mhm.
perfectionists move on like unrealistic plans and unrealistic visions that they created in their head that would never ever materialize. And and they feel discouraged when they try to act on what they created in their mind, and they try to act on it and it doesn't work out just how they saw it, and they're confused, and it's like that's just not how life works. That's not how. This is a imperfectly perfect universe, which
Yeah.
we would talk about. But
So we could talk about just, and that's the difference between perfectionists and people who's just truly self-disciplined. You
mm,
know, people who self-discipline, who has self-discipline, um, they understand that the process comes with failures, and
right,
the process is a long road. You know what I mean? Things are gonna be tough, things are gonna be bright sometimes and easy, but they understand that it's a process and nothing's gonna be perfect. Nothing's gonna be exactly what you want it to be. I mean, yeah, we have our end goal, like for example, all right, when I get to this destination, um, I'm gonna have this or I'm gonna have that. And yeah, that's cool and all, but that can only take you but so far,
right.
you know, because what do you do after you get what you wanted?
That's a fact. That's a fact. And you're so right about the whole self-discipline versus perfectionist. I
Mhm.
feel like some we as a people, we got to a point where we don't truly know what self-discipline really means.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks when they hear self-discipline, they think of a military drill sergeant, somebody who's one-dimensional, inflexible, can't, like somebody who is just so set in their ways, when really that what you're thinking about is a perfectionist. Somebody who's truly self-disciplined is multidimensional, and they
And
understand.
and they understand, they know how to take many things, they know how to take criticism well. You
Yep.
know, perfectionists don't know how to take criticism, bro.
They don't.
They want things to be their way. And
Yep.
that's the only way. Whatever you say, I can't listen to you because that's not the way. That's how they think. But people who are self-disciplined understand that, okay, maybe I may be wrong right here. Okay, maybe might be going in the wrong direction here. And just they humble themselves and have the self-discipline to admit that they're wrong.
That's a fact. And that's because, right, you shouldn't expect a perfectionist to take criticism well, because anything that doesn't sound like, look like, or feel like what they created in their head is nonsense to them. It's like, what are you talking about? Oh, I'm a visionary. I saw this thing. You can't criticize what I saw, when really somebody who is self-disciplined is like, they're multidimensional, so they're able to draw from many different sources, whether it's criticism or anything. And what makes somebody self-disciplined is their ability to how do I say it? Like their ability to break off from the main mission to do, side quests that will add to the main mission and still find their way back to that road. A perfectionist believes that everything is straight line, main road, my way or the highway. You know what I mean? That's not how life works. Nobody's path is straight like that. And that's the thing. It's like, and now that we're talking about this, I feel like we should mention that what we're talking about is more of an inward type of it's like an inward type of perfectionism. And then there's the outward perfectionist, like who knows that they aren't perfect, but they want to project that outward. So I just wanted to establish that, like, when in the book, Robert Greene is he takes the approach of everything in this book is mostly outward to a certain degree, but you can relate it to inward and how you treat yourself. But the thing is, you can be you can like you, Ty, you talked about Kobe Bryant and how he appeared to be, like, he didn't appear to be perfect, but we could tell that inward he was kind of a perfectionist to a certain degree, at least at certain points in his career. But the best Kobe that I can remember was the Kobe that was more self-disciplined outside of like being a perfectionist. Because, like, you're right, Ty, you said it before. As a perfectionist, you get to a certain point where it's like, damn, what happens after that? Kobe had got to that point. I'm sure there was nothing else Kobe could have did with his footwork. He had a crazy handle. He even got to the point where he toned his handle down a little bit, but like, self-discipline knows no limits. Perfectionism, you're limiting yourself in your own mind to a certain degree.
Yes, you are.
Yep. So just moving on.
So how would you correlate that inward and outward?
Good question.
Off rip, when I see someone really just showing the good parts of their life, we all know that is not true, man. Nobody's perfect. Like, so even if you trying to appear perfect, I look at you funny, I give you the side eye, and you're somebody I have to watch out for.
Right.
I want my teachers, or I want my mentors to teach me the things that I need to learn, as well as the things I don't need to do. You know what I mean? So I want my mentor essentially to not appear perfect, and if you really wanted to be a teacher, I mean, even with this podcast, right? I mean, we don't appear perfect on here. We state our flaws, we state what's going on in our lives, or what we struggled with, and some of the episodes, and many of the episodes, we talk about what we struggle with. We don't try to appear perfect.
Right.
And I feel like the people that do try to appear perfect, there's something off about them in their brain, and it's a deep insecurity they have that's inside of them.
Now I have a question for you. We're talking as if like, regular people, like, for in this instance, for what I'm about to bring up, this like scenario, you're just like, you're a regular person. You're not considered an influencer. You don't have a crazy platform or anything like that. And let's say you might have a social media, you might have a few friends on there, this or that. My question is, are you, with this law, and I'm like, when it comes to never appearing too perfect, like, are we how do I say this? Are we showing the same transparency to everybody? Like, do we trust everybody to show the same transparency to everybody, regardless of if that person may be just an acquaintance to us or a close friend? Like, how does that work? Like, does everybody get the same version of you? Or are we supposed to project ourselves as the same person to everybody? Or because
No,
sometimes for me personally, like,
that's a good question.
I don't trust
I
everybody. You
don't
know what
think
I
so.
mean?
Yeah, I don't think so. But I would never try to appear perfect. And I'm gonna tell you why. Me personally, if I was to appear perfect, my failures would eventually catch up to me, and it would make the fall just much more great, like harder. You know what I mean? Like when you're perfect, it's like LeBron, for example. Everyone loves when LeBron fails because the guy is just he just seems perfect. You know what I mean? Like, so when someone actually fails, it just hits 10 times different. You know what I mean? It just hits 10 times more when you fail. So
That's a
that's why I
fact.
would never want to appear perfect, you
That's so
know?
true, man. It's like when you're appearing perfect, you put a not only do you put a target on your back, but you put a jetpack on and you start to fly up, and that jetpack is eventually gonna run out of gas, and
Yeah.
it's just a free fall from there. And
Yeah.
why you and take a picture of this, while you got that jetpack on your back and you flying up, people shooting arrows at you, trying to
Yeah.
knock you down, but the gas is gonna run out.
It's
And
gonna run out eventually. Like you can't appear perfect forever, man. You just can't, bro.
right.
It's just impossible.
Exactly. That's a really good point. LeBron is definitely like somebody who is a target of a lot of hate because of the fact that he just, you know, I don't know if he does it purposely. I mean, we know he's not perfect and he's shown his imperfections, but he
He's
just he
naturally
did the right
talented.
things.
He's just
By,
naturally talented, bro.
right. And that's another thing. Like we need to mention that in the process of creating separation, even if you aren't trying to appear perfect, people are gonna still view
Yeah.
you as that.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
So the
'Cause
onus isn't
a lot of people get mastery confused with perfection, bro. A lot of people don't see the work you put in. They just see the outcome most of the time. So they associate you with the outcome. They don't associate the failures you did to get that outcome beforehand.
that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's so true. And the fact that we brought up Mastery, which is another book about by Robert Greene.
Yeah.
We
Great book.
high Yeah, it's a good book. We highly recommend that book. But it plays into this because masters, like, they they appear perfect to others, but like in order to achieve mastery, they know that they have to learn these social dynamics and they have to be able to tone down their strengths to a certain degree.
Yeah. Facts.
Because
Facts.
we sometimes, we always teach ourselves to make our light shine, like no matter what's going on, to shine bright, this and that, when really, if we're being 100% honest, by us shining our bright lights on some people who aren't ready to see that, it's
Yeah.
kind of counterproductive
Facts.
and it's
Facts.
blinding to a certain degree. And that creates, it's like when you blind, like if anybody has ever been driving and somebody got their high beams on and it's dark, and they like, no, we don't appreciate that when somebody, that's bad street etiquette.
A lot of people is not in the same mindset as you, bro. A lot of people don't want to hear you talk about um investing your money. A lot of people don't want you want you to talk about, oh yo, bro, I just read this book. A lot of people don't want you to talk about your success around them, bro.
Yep. But another thing, like, and you probably read this or heard this in Mastery, but it's true masters aren't going around talking about what they achieved or what they know. If
Yeah.
anything, true masters make other people feel more comfortable because they want to know what the common person knows. They want to know true, like, in order to, like, on this path to meeting our higher self, it's not necessarily about telling everybody that, like,
Mhm.
it's about learning learning from other people that help us on our journeys. Those
Mhm.
people are only became masters because of the people around them, and they recognize that, so they would never, get to a point where it's my way or the highway. Your opinion doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So
Because at first, before they became a master, they was a student.
right,
You know,
right.
they was in their apprenticeship phase as an apprentice. So yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a good point.
But
Yep. So
I was just talking about in general, like when you're not around people, like so I was just saying when you talk about your life in terms of your regular friends, but I should have never said that because the goal is to be around people that has the same goals as you and essentially can teach you certain things in the long. I don't know, bro.
no, you're right. You're right. Pretty much what you're saying is like you wanna when you get around those people that show qualities that you would like to associate with yourself, you'll be doing yourself a disservice to not share your imperfections and your shortcomings because chances are that person has experienced something similar.
Mm.
Now, and it's like there's a difference. Like I think we should be putting our most of our imperfections on display for those people who are close to us that really know us and can really help us. And then we just don't shield um we don't shield the public from all of our mistakes. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Now, we're not saying to go around with your criminal record printed on your t-shirt. We're not saying that. We're saying like just be yourself because when you naturally be yourself, there's no way you can be perfect because
Mm.
nobody was designed to be that way. You could tell somebody is not being themselves when they are trying to be perfect. And another thing, like if we could look introspectively one more time at inward perfectionism, it's like you might be asking, how can I tell if I'm being too perfect? Well, you will be able to tell if you're being too perfect if you feel guilty about just how things are going in your life.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, like how people say, some people say, you live and you learn, no regrets. That's the path to growth per se. But as a perfectionist, it's I live and I know instead of I live and I learn.
Mm.
As a perfectionist, you feel like you're living and you know all that you need to know to get the most out of life when really that's not the case. And ultimately that you live and motto and way of thinking will ultimately lead you to feeling guilty because you're going to miss out on so many opportunities chasing perfection, so many relationships, so many just just so much.
Yeah.
Like life passes you by because you think you know all there is to know.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't want to be around that. A master won't even teach you if you think you know it all.
Right, right. Think about how many movies when the person is like the pupil, but they got to get humble first, like by doing like groundwork stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like and I don't know if you've seen Karate Kid, but
Karate Kid, Jaden Smith, yeah.
yeah, it got him doing just house chores and stuff like that to remind you, like, yo, like you not like you know what I mean, like come back to earth, man. Take that jetpack off that target on your back. Yeah, but our next point could be like I wanted to get back to I feel like we covered a lot of this stuff, but I want to get back to about the fact that this universe is just so imperfectly perfect,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like the universe will never be perfect. You would never like cut down a tree and look at those rings in the middle of that tree and see a carbon copy of that tree anywhere else.
Mm.
Like it's just everything in the universe is perfectly unique. And
Yeah.
everything in the universe, there's nothing in this universe perfect except for the supreme intelligence, which is God himself, or as we know him as Jesus Christ. Everything is like it sounds contradictory, but it's just imperfectly perfect. Like it's hard to explain. Like think about like even in we talked about nature, right? How trees and stuff, things like nature is always on cycles, but even those cycles aren't perfect. Like winter we try to make things perfect. We try to say that winter starts on this certain day, But who's to say that just because the calendar say this is the first day of winter, that it don't feel like fall? You know what I mean? Like these cycles happen perfectly, but it's hard to really tell and predict like nature per se. And another thing we could talk about is like things like art in the universe. There's no rules to art. A perfectionist would never be a good artist, in my opinion. And when we say perfectionist, we mean somebody who is afraid to learn. Because there are artists who focus in on small details and are very very anal in that way. And we sometimes describe those people as perfectionists, which that's typically how the term is used. But for today's purpose, we're talking about the perfectionist who isn't willing to grow.
Yeah.
That's somebody who lacks self-discipline because they're stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, like art, there's no rules to that. Love, relationships, like there's no people believe in fairy tales, man. Those people are perfectionists, man. They read the fairy tales every night and they think that's how things are gonna go. They write it out, and I'm not saying not to do that, but like to just know like the universe has a funny way of rewarding a person that doesn't need a reward. Like it's crazy. And that person is just somebody who's self-disciplined. You know, a perfectionist needs a reward. They need to get to a certain point. They need
a outcome.
Right. But the person who doesn't need an outcome is typically the one that gets multiple outcomes.
Person with self-discipline understands that eventually it will come.
Right.
And they live their lifestyle and they follow a system and patience. With patience.
That's a fact. And I'm glad you brought up patience, because patience is there's no way somebody could be a perfectionist and be patient at the same time.
No way.
There's no way. It's like perfectionism is the biggest rival to peace and true success, but like more so peace, because there's no way, like perfectionists don't, I envision a perfectionist as somebody who doesn't get much sleep, who doesn't really relate well to other people, stuck in their head, probably dealing with anxiety or and depression.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with those things, man. With the beginning of this, like the beginning of this podcast, I had it.
Yeah, we were trying to make this podcast like kind of perfect, man. We were.
Even to the point to where I was willing to butt heads with you, because I'm so up. This is what perfectionism will do to you. It will push you so close up to those things that you want and desire. You'll be up, like, think about it like this, like we go. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah, you good.
Okay.
It was unstable at first. Now you good.
Okay, cool. All right. But think about it like this, like a perfectionist is somebody who is so close to that thing, those things they desire, like so up close to it that they can't see how, like, it's crazy. Your mind will play tricks on you when you're a perfectionist, because you could be so close to that thing, but you can't grab it, because like, imagine like if you're looking for something in the grocery store and you're so close to the grocery aisle that you can't see all of the possibilities. That's what a perfectionist is, like somebody who can't see it all. So with this podcast, I'm like in a tunnel with this thing, and you're telling me like, Mal, we can do this, we can do that, we can talk about this, we can talk about that. And it's like, no, like Ty, like let me tell you about my vision. Let me tell you, oh no, we can't do that because I didn't see that. Like, no, like it doesn't work like that. Like we have to be able to surrender to the universe and to God and his perfect will, because that's true self-discipline. And that's the opposite of perfection. That's the opposite. And this episode, like, we talk about appearing perfect, but really a lot of times how we appear is a self-reflection of how we appear to others, is a self-reflection of how we feel about ourselves. Like if you are striving to appear perfect, that means you don't trust yourself in some way. And you know, it's not a good feeling at all. like I've recently gotten out of that. Now, we talk about this all the time, but meditation is what that thing that helped me to back away from the shelf to see all the possibilities and to see
Mm.
that perfectionism is like perfectionism. With perfectionism, you might accomplish that thing, but but in it, trying to accomplish that thing,
Not, yeah, it's not gonna fill your stomach, man.
it's not.
Your cup is never gonna be able to run it over.
Nope. You doing all that for one drip of water.
Yeah.
It's like, but like those people who are self-disciplined, they just get so many different opportunities that come their way. And people might get jealous, but once like somebody who gets jealous of a master, somebody who practices good self-discipline and who is the opposite of a perfectionist, they
Mhm.
may be jealous with that person, but upon further inspection of that person, they can see like, oh, dang, he went through this. Oh, this happened to him, this, that. And he carries himself in a way where, like, why do I choose to dislike this guy? And masters have people that dislike them and hate them as well, even if they show that transparency.
How can we fix perfectionism?
Yeah,
That's
how can we
what we're
fix
talking about.
perfectionism? Now, for people who are looking for ways to rid themselves of this disease of perfectionism and to improve their social lives to a certain degree as well, by practicing self-discipline, I would say start to build that trust with yourself.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it starts it starts with
Starts with
clearing your
yourself.
mind. Yep.
Yeah, it starts with yourself, and you gotta you gotta go into that thing with a clear mind. You're right. You're right.
Yep. Because like somebody who is trying to project themselves as someone who is perfect probably has a lot going on in their head.
Underline. There's a lot, and a lot. We see this a lot on social media.
Yep.
See this a lot on social media. So
Yep.
that's why I don't even really be on that thing like that, man.
I feel you.
Um, it's just not worth it. Just trying to appear perfect is just it's no positives. Like I don't see no plus to it. Like it's all minuses. It's all negatives, bro. Because when you appear too perfect, eventually you're gonna fail, and when you fail, it's gonna be 10 times more pleasing to other people.
Yep.
And you're just gonna put a big, huge target on your back for no reason, bro. For no reason. That's not how you want to live. You want to live in flow, like in a flow state. Just life is gonna have its changes, but you want to be able to change easily.
Right.
When you try to appear too perfect, you're gonna stress yourself out and overthink things 10 times out of 10.
That's a fact. And that's pretty much it, man, as far as fixing perfectionism. Just being honest with yourself and with other people, and
Mhm.
admitting to yourself, forgiving yourself for things that you've done in the past, and for and reminding yourself that you are human. And also, once you can do that work within yourself to rid yourself of, like, the negativity and stuff, then you will appear more relatable, more transparent naturally, because you
Look,
yeah.
and look, God could take away whatever you got just like this, bro. Just in the snap of a finger, bro. You could be at your highest of highs, most success in your life, most wealth, most riches, and God could just do this just because you're appearing too perfect and you're putting out a false image.
Yep.
God could just take that away from you. So you never want to take things for granted and appear a way that no man could appear, bro. No man could appear perfect. So be cautious of that, man, because God could take it away just like that.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And the truth is, freedom lies in self-discipline, folks. It doesn't lie in perfectionism. It doesn't lie in, anything, any of these outside sources. It's in us already.
Yeah.
And it takes self-discipline, like, to be able to meditate and to be able to work on ourselves enough. Like, I think perfectionists are lazy in a way because all they want to do is dream. They don't want to work on themselves. And that comes across as, next thing you know, everybody is buying into this dream, but something is off about you because you're selling a false dream to people to a certain degree because you aren't that person. It's like it's just like it's like a scam, and you're scamming yourself at the end of the day more than the other people who see you and are like, what's going on? Yep. So that's just that's today's message. Law 46 from the 48
Yeah.
Laws of Power.
This is such a great book, man. We're gonna do more laws in the future.
Exactly. It's a lot of good information in this book, and I highly encourage everybody to, and I'm sure Ty does too, but I highly encourage everybody to either, get the book, rent it, whatever,
Or just
Audible,
check,
whatever.
just check it out. Just you can look it up right on Google or Safari. Just the 48 laws, and they got them all listed and they explain them briefly.
Yep. But yeah, man, this has been another episode of the Infinite Charge podcast. We hope that you got some valuable information out of this one. We hope to have you back here again next week. What's
Malachi,
that?
what about the quote? Strive for continuous improvement instead of perfection.
All right, I'll cut out what I just did just now, and then we'll close out from there. So,
Right.
but lastly, folks, we just want to leave everybody with this quote.
Yeah.
And this is by Kim Collins. What's that?
Kim Collins.
Yep.
Strive for continuous improvement instead of perfection. This is a no-brainer here, but a lot of people take it for granted. A lot of people want things to be perfect, but just focusing on the next step, just getting better each and every day, 1% better each and every day. It's not about being perfect, because you can't be perfect. It's about improving yourself and knowing that you came out a better man.
Facts. Like it's when you're chasing growth, you're not chasing any outcomes. You don't need a reward. Your growth is your reward, and you get rewarded for that. Ultimately, you're the one who gets the trophy, the prize, whatever, because of the fact that you weren't chasing that. You detach yourself from everything else except for the growth.
And when you chase perfection, you're kind of comparing yourself to others, what others see as perfection. So you're not really getting the fulfillment you really want, because your perfection is based off of what society thinks is perfect.
Facts.
And perfect is not even a thing, but
that's a fact. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the answer to all of this, how we can fix it, is to just do the deep work with ourselves. It really pays dividends, and you will come across as your true self. But yeah, this has been another episode of the Infinite Charge podcast. We hope that you got a lot of value out of this one, and stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming very soon. But yeah, be easy, stay charged.
Most importantly, stay blessed, man.